What's going on, San Diego? Jon and Jim on a Friday. Jim, I'm solo today because Jon is on his way to Cal. Tomorrow, Cal, Aztecs, first road game of the year for the Aztecs. Like I said, 5:30 pregame, 7:30 kickoff. So make sure to tune into that. Also, this weekend, Brent, it's probably one of the more crucial series of the year because it's obviously the one in front of the Padres, but also, you have not played the Giants well this season, and the Padres are going to have to play well here down the stretch if they want the 4 seed.
Well, yeah, their time for leeway has passed.
It has.
Yes. We always joke all the time in the wrap is this a must win? No, the joke's over now. We're actually getting into must win territory for pretty much
the rest of the season. Exactly. Yeah. So Padres, Giants this weekend, Aztecs tomorrow. Later in the show, we'll talk about, what schools should be added to the Pac-12. Kevin Acey is going to join us at 5 p.m. I just got a text from Jon saying that he's going to join us at 5:30. So Jon's going to join us at 5:30.
I was going to say, why couldn't he just do the show?
I know. That's what I said.
I could walk to Berkeley by 5:30.
Jon doesn't want to do the show because he has to go probably eat lunch.
Central Michigan, I'll give you the excuse, but come on.
You're in Cal. It's fine. He was even telling me tonight.
LT would tell you it's like a 2-hour drive.
He was telling me that he's like, should I go to the Padres game tonight? Because it's pretty close to wherever he's staying at Oracle Park. It's probably maybe like an hour away because of traffic and everything. I think I've never been to Cal before, so I don't really know the distance from Cal to the Giants ballpark, but
I have no idea. I've never been north of Temecula, so don't ask me.
Just go over the Bay Bridge and be there. So he did say he'll join me for a wrap-up show tonight. So we'll have a wrap-up show for you on YouTube later tonight. But we'll start with the Padres. This series is crucial for many reasons. One, obviously, the standings. But just tonight, in a vacuum, Dylan Cease, Logan Webb. Dylan Cease has not pitched well of late for the Padres. And going into the stretch here, you're going to need Dylan Cease to be a lot better than he has been for this team since he threw his no-hitter. Now, I'm not saying he has to go out there and be that no-hitter Dylan Cease, but dude's got a 5 ERA in his last 6-7 starts here. He's got to be a lot better, and you haven't played the Giants well this year either, by the way. You have not. You're 4-6 versus the Giants this season. Luckily, you don't have to worry about them for any tiebreakers, for postseason spots or whatever, but the Giants are not a good baseball team. They're just not. They're average at best. And coming out of this weekend, taking 2 or 3 is absolutely vital. It's absolutely vital for this team.
Doesn't it feel like the fact that the Giants aren't a good team is what worries me? I feel like I'd have less stress if we were playing the Phillies this weekend because it's one of those, the old sports cliche of, they play down to the level of their competition to where, if the Dodgers are in town or the Phillies or, the elite of the elite this year, they show up and they ball out. And then, the Rockies are in town. Oh, oops.
Well, they played the Rockies. They haven't played the Rockies well this year.
Yeah.
They haven't played the Giants well this year. It's kind of
it's the lower level teams that worry me more than these big ones, which it shouldn't be like that.
Right. But when you're facing the Giants this weekend, you might say, the Giants are average. And yes, they are. But they also, on the flip side, they are a really good home team. They have 11 walk-offs this season, most in baseball. Logan Webb he's a workhorse. He's probably one of their best pitchers. If Blake Snell stayed healthy for the entire season, Logan Webb's their guy. It's good news, though, that you're not facing Blake Snell this weekend, that you're only facing Logan Webb. But tonight, against Dylan Cease, hopefully that matchup, Dylan Cease can come out on top. But I just look at from here on out, 10 wins of the final 15 games would be ideal. It's probably a tough ask for sure. 9-6 to me is more realistic. And you get to the 91-92 win mark, I think you have a really, really good shot at getting that 4 seed. And it goes down to what Arizona does here in the final couple weeks of the season. They have the Brewers for a 3-game series tonight. Then they go back on the road. They face Colorado for 3, Milwaukee for 4, and they come back for their final home stand of the year versus the Giants, and then the Padres finishing up at the end of the season. And then you look at what the Mets have done. Mets are the hottest team in the National League. They're red hot. They're facing the Phillies tonight, starting for 3. They might have one of the toughest schedules because they face the Phillies 7 more times. But the Mets are also playing amazing baseball. And the Braves, to me, Brent, I'm not as concerned about the Braves as much as I was maybe a week ago. Even though the Braves have the easiest remaining strength of schedule, minus the Dodgers, left in the National League, and the Dodgers have the easiest. Why I say that, it would take the Braves to play out of their mind to catch the Padres, and vice versa. It would take the Padres to have to really not play good baseball. But their last 25 games, they're 13-12. And while that is maybe not considered like really, really good baseball, it's still good enough for where they're at. The only problem is it's good enough to get them in the postseason. Is it going to be good enough to get them home field? I don't think so.
The thing that worries me about Atlanta is they just won it a couple years ago. So they, for the most part, they know what it takes to win and to get there.
But
so
they have to play really good baseball.
Oh, Brent. Yeah, but I think they know that, though. It's one of those things where if you've never been in the situation, you don't really know how to react to it. And they've been in it recently, so they know what they need to do. It's just a matter of them doing it, opposed to like a team that, maybe they've never been to a World Series or something like that, to where now this is a lot of pressure for them right away off the bat.
Well, I will sit here and say that I think of the 4 teams that are chasing a spot in the postseason in the National League, I do think that the Braves will be on the outside looking in at the end. It's about just where everybody's going to be slotted. I think Arizona and San Diego, those 2 teams will be fighting for home field. And I think that the Mets are going to be in as a 6th seed. Mets would have to play like equally as good of baseball as the Braves would need to play, maybe better, to catch the Padres and Arizona to get home field there. I mean, you're a game and a half back of San Diego. Yes, you hold the tiebreaker, but they play the Phillies 7 times, and the Phillies have been on a roll here of late. I think at the end of the day, Mets will be the 6. And then I really do think it's going to come down to that final series in Arizona to determine who's having home field. But it won't get there unless you take care of business tonight and this weekend. If you don't take care of business this weekend, guess what? That last series in Arizona probably won't be for a chance to have home field. And you'll probably have to pitch, Matt Waldron and Martin Perez, which might not be a bad thing, because then you can line up whatever you want for the start of the wild card in Arizona. It's just, it would have been, and it would be nice to go into that series with a chance to lock up home field, to lock up the 4 seed. And even, I mean, I don't know if it's going to happen, but if you could somehow find a way to do all that before that series, that would be like the dream scenario. I just don't envision that. Unless the Padres rip off like 6 games in a row here, and Arizona, goes, 3-3, and then it's like, okay, you feel pretty confident, and then the last series of the season will be just everybody get ready for next Tuesday here in San Diego at Petco Park.
I'm kind of disappointed they haven't started putting up the magic number thing yet in the standings,
because they're all so close. Like, there's no magic number for anybody to clinch because they're so close.
They already eliminated the Marlins and the Rockies.
Well, I thought you were talking about the Padres, Diamondbacks, the Mets, and the Braves. You can't put a magic number for those teams up. I think the magic number is like
not 14, yet, but I mean like
13.
They still have like Pittsburgh and Washington.
Oh yeah, well, those teams are done
because they're mathematics. I sound like my one buddy. He just says, "Oh, we're not mathematically, we're still eligible." But they still have like Washington and some of those. It's like, yeah, they're not going to get in. Can we just like eliminate them and just focus on the teams that actually have a shot?
Well, the games this weekend that matter the most. All right. So Arizona 3-game series at home versus the Brewers. Then You have the Dodgers taking on the Braves in Atlanta. You are rooting for the Braves to lose that series, preferably get swept. If the Dodgers got swept, things might become a little more interesting. I just don't envision the Dodgers getting swept there. So lose as many games as you can for the Braves, and you feel pretty good about your chances to lock up at least a postseason spot. And then the Mets take on the Phillies there. I mean, that game starts at 3:40 today. So those are the only games that matter for the Padres this weekend. And if you just take care, I said if you take care of business, you won't have to keep too many eyes on those teams, but they haven't really been able to take care of business of late, and they're trailing Arizona. So you have to look at Arizona, what they're doing, and the Mets and the Braves. And it's like, if you don't play better baseball and you continue down this 500 path that you've been playing for the last 2-3 weeks, then it's going to become difficult to not go to the final weekend of the series, the final day of the season, and still not have things locked up.
How big of a lead do they need to have before you feel comfortable?
Like
a game
the
lead.
4 seed?
Yeah, just in general.
If they had like a 2 or 3 game lead, probably a 3-game lead, 3-game lead. I mean, shoot, they get to that weekend series in Arizona with 3-game lead. It's over. Like, it's done. You just win one of the first 2 games, or just win the first game and it's over. Yeah, I think a 3-game lead would feel good, but they trail by a half. I know that everybody's like, wait, what? They still trail by a half a game, or they're still doing these half games? Like, those will be decided here in the next couple of weeks, because the Padres have 2 more off days. They have 2 more off days. They have next Thursday, and they have the following Monday there. And by then, it will all be no more halves, so you don't have to worry about that. All right, coming up in the show, Kevin Acee. He's going to join me at 5 p.m. from San Francisco. John, he is on his way to Cal. He's going to join us at 5:30. But coming up next, what schools should join the new Pac-12? We'll discuss that coming up next on Jon and Jim. What's up, guys? It's Jim from Jon and Jim, and Humul Casino. We were there earlier this week, and they have great food. They have great slots. We went to Tony Gwynn Sports Pub. It was absolutely amazing. Humul Casino is now one of our favorite places to go, but not just for baseball and food and slots and gambling, but football season is here every Monday in September. You have a chance to win big with Monday Night Live $100,000 Punch Out. They have 10 winners every hour at 7 p.m., 8 p.m., and 9 p.m. Your odds are literally better than ever. Plus, earn entries all month long by playing and getting 2 times entries on Tuesdays with at least $500 cash for all winners, and your chance to win up to $100,000 in cash. You will not want to miss it. Humul Casino, they have endless dining 5 nights a week. Their endless dining options include Saturday surf and turf buffet. Of course, the Tony Gwynn Sports Pub that I mentioned. It's a must go. Get the Slam Diego burger. It is amazing. Get to Humul Casino all football season long. Every Monday night for Monday Night Live, $100,000 Punch Out. Humul Casino, it's fun above all else. All right, Jon and Jim on a Friday. Jon is on his way to Cal, holding it down with Brent up until 6 p.m. Kevin AC joining us at 5. Jon will join us at 5:30. And, the big news of the week, San Diego State, Pac-12, not all done yet as far as like the conference goes, but the hard work for San Diego State is over. Now it just becomes, all right, how's the conference going to look? When's it going to be completed? When are the other schools going to be added? How many schools officially will be added? TV deal, all of that. And, talking to JD yesterday, sounds like this thing could happen pretty quickly, as it should. I mean, you have not a lot of time.
Yeah, there's no reason to drag their feet on it.
No. You need to finish this up, I would say, by the end of the year.
Oh, definitely.
Like by the end of the year at the latest, get this thing so you have a full year to get, TV deals and everything else that you need to make this new Pac-12 the best it could be. And that's the goal. Is it's not going to be the Pac-12 that we all know and remember. It's going to be a new version of the Pac-12 that will be a step up from the Mountain West. And I think it's a significant step up, not the step up that maybe some have wanted to where, this isn't like San Diego State joining the Big Ten. It's just not, or the SEC. It's just not. But those options were never there. The Big 12, never there. I know people are like, well, they had an offer out there and they declined it. No, they didn't have an offer. They never declined anything. That just wasn't happening. So the best that they could do with the changing climate in college athletics and, of course, realignment was two things. You wait around still, you stay in the Mountain West Conference, which is fine, and you take your chances, and you have to, deal with, being in the Mountain West Conference for however long and just not take any chances and just stay. Or you take some risks, you take some chances, and you see that the brand of the Pac-12 is still out there and that Oregon State and Washington State don't want to just completely have that die, and go take a risk and try to build up this new Pac-12 conference through the best it could be, which already right now with the schools that have been added, it's already the best non-Power 5 conference out there without even seeing a TV deal, without even seeing, what other schools they will add, because what other schools they do add, Brent, they're not going to be just some rando schools. They're going to be some pretty decent and pretty good schools that will make the conference. Really good.
They're not just going to pull some teams out of a hat.
They're not going to be like,
that's not how it works.
So we have a raffle. Let's see here. San Jose State, congratulations. Like, no, that's not going to happen. They're very calculated with this stuff. And
Samford, come on down.
Whatever schools that is selected, it will be a really good conference.
What I'm hoping for is that I don't know who's in charge of the Pac-12, whoever took over for George Klokoff, is that I hope they learned from all of the mistakes that he made. And he made a lot of them, everything from pretty much extorting the TV deal to try and get more money than they were actually worth, which bit them in the ass because then they didn't get anything because they were just like, nah, that's okay. We're good.
Teresa Gould is the new Pac-12 commissioner.
Okay, so hopefully she was paying attention to what old George was doing, and she just does the opposite of what he did, and we should have a competent conference.
Me and Jon, we went to the Pac-12 media event in Vegas, and she was there, and she made a joke that the bar is open. If anybody knows anything about the Pac-12, it's that we deserve a drink. So I think that going forward, the schools that are in place and Teresa Gould, which I don't really know much about, I think that they've learned from lessons of the past, from what the Pac-12 eventually did to make it collapse a year ago. But I was reading this article, and here's some schools that they said the Pac-12 should go and get. And I completely agree. Sources tell CBS Sports that a batch of programs in the American Athletic Conference, Memphis, North Texas, Rice, Tulane, UTSA, and even South Florida, are under consideration for invitations. I think that pool of teams or schools that I just mentioned would be a great, place to go and to pick
former national champion South Florida.
Yes, the former national champions, South Florida, Memphis for basketball and football as well. I think that would work. And if you want to go, Tulane makes a lot of sense too. If you got Memphis, Tulane, and South Florida to me though, there's been other reports that says South Florida probably not going to do that. Also, the travel, I don't know if that would work, but
I would sacrifice South Florida for either North.
Sacrifice.
Well,
I would sacrifice them.
Not literally on the altar of college football, but no, I would forego Florida for either North Texas or Texas San Antonio, because they want in on the recruiting market.
Oh, for sure.
The holy trinity of college recruiting, is California, Texas, and Florida. You get locked into those three, then, you can be set for a decade. So just whether it's San Antonio or just, I don't know what town North Texas's university is in, but just to get a foothold in Texas would be good. Florida would be good too, but it's like you said, it'd be a lot more travel and it'd be more convenient just to go to Texas.
And in this article, it talks about, football obviously drives everything, drives realignment, everything, right? So we talk and have been talking about, what schools are going to be added to the football side. We know it's a no-brainer. Go and getting Gonzaga for this new Pac-12. It's an absolute no-brainer. They should do everything in their power, this new Pac-12, to get Gonzaga and bring them to the new Pac-12 from the WAC. It has to happen.
See, that's my only reasoning why I would be like, oh yeah, Memphis is a good fit, because I don't want Memphis's football team, but I want Memphis's basketball program in our conference.
Exactly. Football is fine. It's okay. It's
all right. They got a weird grayish field. Have you ever seen Memphis's field?
Yeah, it's a little weird. Yeah,
it's weird.
But you're right. The basketball program for sure. And getting Gonzaga. You have a conference with Gonzaga, Memphis, San Diego State, and Oregon State, with those four teams all making run. Dude, it just is kind of like the biggest no-brainer of all time.
Oh, YouTube chat says North Texas is in Denton. It's a Dallas metro area.
So
thanks, Kevin.
I think that they're going to be very strategic with this, but also they need to be aggressive. You got to go and be as aggressive as possible, because you're trying to build something here that eventually in the future, I don't know, if they can, but making sure that they get back their designation as a Power 5 conference. I think that might be out of reach, but at the same time, you make your conference easily, no questions asked, the best non-Power 5 conference out there. So every time that the playoffs come around, you have one of your teams from your conference in it.
Well, trying to work them into being a power, that's going to take
a long time.
Yeah, a long time, because they're going to have to get more teams, and then the teams are going to have to develop, et cetera, et cetera. So that part's going to take a long time. But I think one of their biggest things they have to do is they have to keep it realistic. I know we threw out yesterday that, the dream scenario would be, hey, Stanford and Cal, why don't you guys come on back down to the Pac-12? So instead of being in the ACC, but that's probably not going to happen because they just left.
Yeah, the money for it.
They just can't be like, oh, but we really want Stanford and Cal back, to where they just sit around and wait and wait and wait, and then next thing you know, some other school or conference will come in and swoop up Texas San Antonio or South Florida or one of these other schools, to where you can't just assume they're just going to be there forever.
Yeah, but believe me, I wish it was easy as a video game where you can literally just pick and pull and make your own conference and have it be that is easy. Because if it was that easy, then Cal, Stanford, you're coming back, and then you add Gonzaga for the basketball side, and then, boom, there you go. There you go, right? But it's not that easy. Coming up next, how much credit should AJ Preller get for this season? I think he should get a lot. What do other people think about AJ Preller and how much credit he deserves in the baseball world? You'll hear that coming up next. Also, Kevin Acee will be joining us at 5 p.m. The Wrap at 4 p.m. Stay with us. This is Jon and Jim. All right, this update is brought to you by DraftKings. Padres and Giants tonight starts 3-game series, 7:15 first pitch. It's a crucial series for the Padres. Dylan Cease on the mound against Logan Webb tonight for the Giants. Tomorrow, San Diego State takes on Cal. It's their first road game of the season, 7:30 kickoff. Our pregame starts at 5:30 right here on San Diego Sports 760. And not good news for Christian McCaffrey. He's out once again this week for the Niners. Kyle Shanahan said that he could be placed on IR. Check out what DraftKings has to offer this season with code SPORTS, because life's more fun when you're in on the action. DraftKings, the crown is gambling problem. Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Age and eligibility restrictions do apply. Void where prohibited. See DraftKings.com for details today. All right, back on Jon and Jim. Dude, you can't tell me the Madden curse isn't real. I mean, Chris McCaffrey's out again. I'm reading that this could turn into like a 6 or 7 week thing. Like, name me the last Madden cover athlete that had like a successful season. Oh, wait. And of course, I drafted him with my first overall pick in fantasy, and he's on my favorite team. So
You never draft guys on your own team, your fantasy team, dude. Everyone knows
I
that.
know, Brent.
You just Madden curse yourself.
I know. Trust me. I know this. I did it to myself. I blame me, but that's a big problem. So anybody out there with Chris McCaffrey on their fantasy teams, he's officially out this week. He might be out longer, probably out longer. Most people are saying it could become an IR situation. Kyle Shanahan said that today, and so we'll see. So the big talk. I see Dave on hold here. Let's get to Dave first. I've been waiting a while. Wants to talk to some Aztecs and Padres. Dave, what's up, man? How you doing?
Hey, pretty good. Say hi to John for us, and
Let's try.
Godspeed up there. First of all, real quick stat on the Padres: 17 losses this year coming to the Rockies and the Giants.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, not good.
So yeah, not so. If this thing somehow doesn't end up like we hope it does, there's your glaring stat of the year for you right there to keep in your back pocket. Getting back over to the new football league here, or the new conference, I would recommend that they rebrand to continue to call it the Pac-12 on the backs of the member schools that left, which were quite notable. To me, is false advertising, and I think they'd be better off rebranding. I saw the list of schools that were published in the UT today in the John Wilner column, and the problem is, Jim, are any of those schools appointment television? I mean, that's the dilemma that they face here. 3 of them come from the Mountain West. So are we not just reconstituting?
No, Dave. Dave, here's the thing, and thanks for the call, Dave. So first off, they're not rebranding the Pac-12. It's not happening. The whole point of keeping
There'd be no point in doing it if you're going to rebrand it.
Exactly. The whole point of keeping the Pac-12 brand with Oregon State and Washington State, which they did once the Pac-12 dissolved and collapsed a year ago, was for this exact thing, so that they could rebuild it back up using the Pac-12 name. Like, it's. I know you might think, and it is to an extent, like, yeah, it's not I'm not gonna say knockoff, but it's not the same. Like, yes, we all acknowledge that it's not the same, but the whole reason to keep the Pac-12 name is because of how they even said it in the press release of how iconic and historic the brand is. They're going to be pumping up this conference, not as we're a Power 5 conference, because they're not. But they're going to be pumping up this conference as, hey, we're the new Pac-12. That's what's going to happen. They're not rebranding. It will never happen. Even if they only have 9 schools, it will still be called the Pac-12. Like, they're not going to be like, oh, we're the Pac-9 now. Like, they're not doing that. The Pac-12 is what's going to help them with everything that they're going to be doing. It just is. And so that's the first thing. And the second thing, marquee matchups, we laid it out yesterday. If you are upset, and there's probably a lot of Aztecs fans that look at a schedule right now, and actually this year's schedule is pretty good. But if you look at a home schedule for conference games, say you have Hawaii, and this is just me spitballing. Say the home schedule includes, one big time, one Power 5 school. Okay. So Missouri, right? Or Oklahoma. That's great. But then you get into your conference and you have San Jose State, Hawaii, Air Force, and Wyoming. And then throw in like Utah State. You're telling me that that's the exact same as a home schedule of Oregon State, Washington State, Boise, Fresno State, Colorado State, Oklahoma? Not even close.
Essentially, they pretty much just took the Mountain West and they trimmed the fat.
They had a
They trimmed the
steak. It was a
fat.
good steak. They
Yes.
trimmed the fat, and then they gave you like the best part of it.
Yes, they left the fat on the plate, and they gave, put the meat on another plate,
And then
we got put on the
also
meat plate.
with Oregon State and Washington State on your home schedule now. Those, by the way, those two teams are on your home schedule now, and it makes your schedule just that much better. And we all know it's never, ever, because I saw people on social media complaining about this yesterday. Doesn't matter. They're not going to play USC or UCLA ever, so who cares? Guys, they were never going to play those teams anyway. Like,
well, we played UCLA before.
No, I meant like
USC wouldn't play us.
Like
but
every year, like in a conference with those teams. Yeah. So don't do anything unless they have an opportunity to play with Alabama every season. Like, no, that's not going to happen. That was never, ever going to happen. I think people will have these expectations like nothing's ever good enough. Like nothing's ever good enough. Like, oh, they got out of like you wanted them out of the Mountain West Conference because of the schedule I just talked about potentially happening 1 year. They got out of the Mountain West Conference. They're not going to have that schedule anymore. Oh, but they didn't get into a conference that I like. Well, they're creating a new one. They're creating a new Pac-12 that is better than the Mountain West. So like maybe don't have your expectations be, well, they have to be in the Big 12 or else, because that was not going to happen. It's just like you have to have some realistic expectations for yourself as a fan sometimes for the future of this program. Like, yes, I love the fact that, and I do this, like set a standard. Expectations need to be here. I've talked about that with the Padres. I've talked about that with San Diego State on the field. And like, you got to have an expectation. Like basketball, make the tournament every year. Football, compete for, conference championships. And can we have a better offense here? Right? Can we do that? And then once you get there, you try to stay there. You're capped out in the Mountain West Conference. And now this new conference gives you way more opportunities to grow and build as a program, earn more money, get more NIL, get better recruiting, have a significantly better schedule on your home plate. It's a freaking no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. They're not rebranding, and the home schedule in the future is not a retread. It's significantly improved. You don't have Boise on your home schedule every year. You don't have Fresno State on your home schedule every year. Neither do you have Colorado State on your home schedule every year. You certainly don't have Washington State and Oregon State on your home schedule. And now guess what happens? They're on your home schedule every year, potentially, depending on how many schools they add here. You add 9, like the scheduling stuff, like it all depends on how many schools you add, but most likely you are going to have that home schedule every season. You're going to start creating consistency with a home schedule where every year, boom, you face Boise. Every year, boom, old oil can game versus Fresno State. Boom, every year. So-and-so, this. Like, tell me that's not better than the Mountain West. It is by a lot.
And, we touched on it yesterday too, that there'll be new rivalries that will start out of this. When we get to play, Oregon State and Washington State every year, we'll get new rivalries that will form, and then, college football can make up another fake trophy for us to fight over every year. But, new rivalries will show up. Maybe if we start playing Boise State every year, that's going to kind of turn into what it is for basketball. Because I think we have a basketball rivalry with Boise, but not necessarily a football one, because we don't play every year.
And Boise's
like you said, that's going to change now.
And Boise in basketball has been really good recently. Colorado State's been really good in basketball recently. Oregon State has been good in basketball. Like, you add, and I think here, what I talked about last segment, you add Gonzaga to the mix. Huh. I mean, are you serious? Like, you play Gonzaga every year? Okay. Sign me the F up. And that would make your conference so much better. And I think that I would hope that is like their like card in their sleeve. Like, oh, here you go. You thought that we weren't going to, boom, Gonzaga basketball. Now everybody complaining about, well, the Mountain West Conference was good basketball, little like fun basketball, conference. Okay, well, guess what? Now the new one has Gonzaga in it. That might take a little work, but I think that has to be where they go. Like that has to be their goal. Like if you have a whiteboard and you say, what is our big goal here? They've accomplished one, creating a new Pac-12. Number two, obviously getting the schools in there for football, right? But on that list to strengthen the conference as much as you possibly can, going and getting Gonzaga for basketball has to be a top priority, I think, for this new iteration of the Pac-12. All right, coming up next, Kevin Acey. He's joining us at 5 p.m. today. We have the wrap. Also, did you see what baseball is doing for the playoffs this year? If you didn't, you're going to want to stick around because this is
I was
ridiculous.
gonna say this doesn't sound like a good thing they're doing.
I'll tell you what Major League Baseball is doing once the postseason starts this year, coming up next. All right, back here on Jon and Jim on a Friday. Me and Brent hold it down. Jon, I think he's in Cal. I don't know when they left, but maybe he's on his way there. He's going to join us at 5:30. Kevin Acey at 5 p.m. Playoffs are starting
Do
here.
you think Berkeley is like heaven for Jon, to where there's like tofu and vegan things everywhere?
Well, that's the thing. I don't know if he's going to have an opportunity to go like find those places.
Well, he was going to go to the Padres Giants game, so he
I don't think
obviously
he was
has
going. I
some
think
time.
he kind of was joking.
He threw it
about
out there.
I'll say this, like, it's I mean, yeah, and you can find tofu bars like anywhere. I feel like you can find places that have vegan food anywhere.
I just feel like it's like how like there's a Starbucks on every corner here, and like Berkeley, I feel like there's a
Starbucks every corner there.
Tom's Tofu like everywhere up there.
There's a Starbucks everywhere on every corner in the United States. I feel like Starbucks is, I no joke, off Friars Road, Brent. Do you know where the Ralph's is off Friars?
Yes.
So they have a Starbucks there. It's a drive-through Starbucks. And then there's the overpass. So it's like a freeway there. You go under the freeway and you go over, like on the other side, there's a Shell gas station and there's like another gas station. Right next to the gas station, actually built in the gas station, is another Starbucks. There's no joke, 2 Starbucks within like 300 feet of each other.
There's one somewhere in this, I don't remember where it is, where they're literally across the street from each other.
Yes.
Like kitty corner on the block.
I'm like, wait, I'm looking at a Starbucks over here, and then I'm looking at another Starbucks over here. I could walk to both of those in like 5 minutes. So yeah, Starbucks is taking over the world. Okay. Postseason starts in like a couple weeks, right? My days are all off. Yeah, about 3 weeks. And today, Major League Baseball announced that for the start of the postseason through 2027, baseball teams will have sponsors on their helmets, on their batting helmets, for in games. The sponsor is called Strauss. It will appear on every helmet in the minor league season and major league games played in Europe in 2025 through 2027, because this is a Europe brand. But starting this postseason through 2027, every single player will have this logo, Strauss, and it's just like a big Strauss name and then their little logo on their helmets. We used to live in a simpler time, but I understand where baseball and the sports world is going with sponsorships.
So what is Strauss?
I think it's a European brand. I have no idea.
I know you established that. I mean, but like, what are they? They make clothes or
Brent? I have zero clue. I just
jet turbines.
I have no idea. But they're going to be on every helmet in the postseason, and I'm like, okay, that's going to take a little getting used to. The patches on the jerseys, those are fine. I think the Motorola patch for me for the Padres, I never recognized it. It never like stood out to me because they did a great job of making it Padres brown, like and then Padres yellow. So
at first I noticed it, but I'm used to it now. I don't notice.
Yeah,
it now,
the ones that like I noticed the most is like right now in our studio we have for some reason Major League Baseball has Pittsburgh and Kansas City on MLB Network, and on the Royals logo, I don't know what their patch is, but it's a bright red patch. Kind of not great for a team that's primary colors are blue and white to have a giant red patch on your sleeve. Padres, they did a good job like camouflaging it. It's not like a giant blue or a giant red logo.
The one thing that I think is going to be interesting, and I wonder if MLB will be forced to maybe put a foot down about it, is what's something that some MLB players put on their helmets that could obscure that advertisement.
Tar.
Yeah.
I know.
It's like, what are you going to do when you get those nasty players that got, George Brett levels of pine tar all over it, to where it's just like, oh, hey, I think that's an S I can make out underneath all that gunk you got in your helmet.
So people in the chat on YouTube, by the way, if you haven't already and you're listening to us on the radio or iHeartRadio app, best ways to listen. If you want to watch the show, we're on YouTube, Jon and Jim SD on YouTube. Go find us there. Hit that subscribe button, and you can watch the show and you can interact in the chat. And in the chat right now, it says that Strauss is a high-performance workwear. It's a German apparel company.
Okay.
So there you go. A German apparel company. will be on the side of Major League Baseball helmets in the postseason.
Oh God! Someone in YouTube chat mentioned that Royal sponsors is Quick Trip. I miss Quick Trip. Quick Trip is a big chain of gas stations. It's like a 7-Eleven, but in the Midwest,
Okay.
to where they're awesome.
Really?
People in the Midwest like worship Quick Trip. Like
It's like
there's memes about it. Quick Trip is awesome. I miss Quick Trip.
It's like Wawa in
Yes,
East Coast.
yes, it's the Midwest Wawa, pretty much.
Midwest
yeah,
Wawa,
yeah.
which I mean, I've only been back east now, I think 4 times, and I absolutely love Wawa. It is amazing. I'm like, every time I go back east with Aaron and we come back here, I'm like, why isn't there a Wawa here? It's ridiculous. 7-Eleven ain't cutting it. Wawa, on the other hand, it's like amazing. They have everything there. Everything. All right, coming up next, The Wrap. Kevin Acey is joining us at 5 p.m. We'll get to how much credit AJ Preller deserves for this season. Spoiler alert, it's a lot. And also, we'll talk about, this big, crucial series for the Padres this weekend versus the Giants and how they really can't afford to lose it. All of that coming up next.
And we do have a pair of John Party tickets we'll give away later.
John Party tickets. We'll give away that later. I don't know if we're going to be doing Trainwreck Radio. We'll figure that out.
No.
No Trainwreck Radio. So stay tuned. We'll give away those John Party tickets next hour. So you're going to want to keep tuned for that. More of Jon and Jim coming up next. This update's brought to you by DraftKings Fantasy. Padres, Giants, big series starts tonight up in the Bay, 7:15 first pitch. Dylan Cease on the mound for the Padres against Logan Webb for the Giants. Tomorrow, San Diego State takes on Cal. It's their first road game of the year. 7:30 kickoff. Our pregame starts at 5:30 right here on San Diego Sports 760. And NFL news of the day, Christian McCaffrey is out this weekend for the Niners against the Vikings. Kyle Shanahan said today he could be placed on IR. Not good news there. Check out what DraftKings has to offer with this season with Code Sports, because life's more fun when you're in on the action. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Age and eligibility restrictions do apply. Void where prohibited. See DraftKings.com for details today. All right, hour 2 on Jon and Jim, holding the fort down while Jon is on his way to Cal. Aztecs, first road game tomorrow. First real big test for this team. The line is massive. It's 18.5 right now. Minus 18.5 for Cal. Cal just coming off of one of their best wins in a long time at Auburn. So, and obviously we don't know the status of Danny O'Neal. I know he got injured against Oregon State. So a lot of questions coming in this game, and we'll see what happens. But again, tomorrow, 5:30 is our pregame coverage, and 7:30 kickoff. San Diego State's first road game of the year. Make sure you're listening the rest of this hour for your chance to win a pair of tickets to see Jon Party with Priscilla Block and Larry Fleet Saturday, September 21st at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. We'll be giving those tickets away later this hour. But Brent, let's get to it.
It's time for The Wrap, presented by Sombrero Mexican Food. Check out their website at sombreromex.com.
What do you think Dylan Cease's pitching line will be tonight?
I should have made this question. What do I want Dylan Cease's pitching line to be tonight?
Zeros all across the board.
I want it to go like this. 9-0-0-0-0-0. But we know that's not going to happen. Well, maybe it could. I don't know. Yeah, because the Giants' offense
never say never.
God awful. I am going to say 6 innings, 2 runs, 8 strikeouts, 1 walk. I think if that were to occur, that's considered a really good outing for Dylan Cease. It's considered a really good outing for almost any pitcher. Actually, any pitcher out there goes 6 and gives up 2, strikes out 8 or 9, walks 1. Yeah, I take that. And truthfully, like, they're going to need that. Yes, they're going to need the win. That's the most important thing. But also a Dylan Cease that's pitching well for you is equally as important, regardless of where you're at in the postseason standings here. And if you get in as a 5 seed or 6 seed, okay. But if you tell me they get in a 5 and a 6 and Dylan Cease is pitching lights out, I would feel pretty confident, even if them going on the road.
The way he's been pitching lately, I'll take. I don't need the quality start. I'll take just a start.
Start?
No, just you have to pitch 5 innings to qualify for be an official
I
start.
Just go out there and
no, I just meant you said 6 innings, so that would technically classify as a quality start.
Well, 6 and 3, but I said 6 and 2. Because 6 and 3, I guess, is quote unquote a quality start.
Well, you just need 6. If you just 6 is the minimum.
But it also coincides with how many runs you give up. So, like, if you go 6 innings and you give up 4 runs, that's not considered a, quote, quality start.
Okay.
You have to go at least 6 and give up 3, even though they need to change that, because if you go 6 and give up 3, it's a 4.5 ERA.
Yeah,
that's not quality. It needs to be changed to either 7 and 2 or 7 and 3 or 6 and 2. Like, that to me is, I consider a quality start.
Let's just go baby steps. Give me 5 innings, scatter maybe 2 runs through 5.
Okay.
And then I'll take that. Just put us in a position to get our, 3-headed dragon of a closer, in position. Yeah, we have to work on the acronym, but yeah.
Yes. But Dylan Cease, I mean, this is a big start for him. Big start. And it's a big series for the Padres. So yeah, hopefully Dylan Cease can pitch well tonight. First pitch 7:15 up in the Bay. Brent, next question.
What teams do you think should be added to the new Pac-12?
So I think for sure 100% Memphis. I think for sure Tulane. I think for the basketball side, it will be tougher, but you get Gonzaga. Okay. I think if you go, if you're thinking like home run, knock it out of the park, if you got South Florida, that would be massive. I don't know if that's going to happen. I see too many reports saying that won't happen. I'll just start right now with Memphis and Tulane. I'll go. Give me, I guess, maybe either Rice or UTSA, and then Gonzaga. You get that? I like that a lot.
I want Tulane and Texas San Antonio. I want in on Texas.
You don't want Memphis?
Memphis doesn't really excite me. It does for, like I said, it does for basketball, but I'm thinking more on the football side of it.
Well, I'm trying to think of like everything here, and you add Memphis and Gonzaga. Basketball wise, that is a huge like.
The only thing for me with that is
up.
It'll get confusing because Gonzaga doesn't have a basketball or a football team. So it's one of those where, okay, if we add Gonzaga for basketball, then we're going to have to add somebody else to even out football that doesn't have.
Well, I don't think necessarily. I think you can have, like JD said the other day, his ideal is like 9. And to me, if you do that, you get Tulane and Memphis and then Gonzaga for basketball. That's your 9 right there.
But wouldn't you think they'd want an even number, not an odd?
Yeah, but at the same, but I think if he says 9, I'll go with 9, 10, 8 has to be the minimum. Obviously, we know that to be an FBS conference. But that to me would I would like that a lot. And I think a lot of people and Aztecs fans would like that a lot. So we'll see what happens, but this thing could be happening really quick. Brent, next question.
Is Cal being favored by 18.5 too high, too low, or just right?
I saw that line, and going back to last week versus Oregon State, where Oregon State was favored by 6.5 on the road. I was like, that could be a good game. And it did turn out to be, like, score-wise, a really close game up until the end of the fourth quarter there, where Oregon State tacked on another touchdown, made it 21-0. They were in that game. It was not fun to watch on offense. It was frankly, it was bad. I went and I was just waiting for something to happen, and it never happened. I'm not surprised by this line, especially Cal coming off their win at Auburn, and talking to the voice of Cal earlier this week, saying how good their defense is going up against potentially a true freshman quarterback. Like, I'm not surprised. I think it's just right. Honestly, I think 18.5 is just right, and especially if Danny plays tomorrow, he's going to be limited because he's injured, and if he doesn't play tomorrow, then you have Javance Johnson out there, and we don't know much about him. So yeah, I think this is just right.
I think it's close enough. That's my fourth option. It's close.
It's close enough, and who knows? The defense has been playing really good this year, so maybe they keep it close.
I would have. If I would have probably just guessed like 14, maybe 14.5 instead of touchdowns, the 18. But yeah, like I said, it's close enough. I could see it going that way, just especially them coming off the road win in Auburn. So,
right. All right, final question, Brent.
Is Tua's career over?
So we haven't gotten into this today because I don't think Tua really resonates in San Diego, but it's the biggest story in the NFL. And I've been seeing a lot on social media. Like, I know today.
Yeah, a lot of armchair doctors coming out today.
Antonio Pierce was asked today about Tua, and he said that he thinks he should retire. And then I saw a lot of people getting super mad at him for that. And like, if you have that opinion, you're wrong. I think that, like, one, his health is the most important thing. Two, it's hard to think that him getting another concussion like he did isn't going to truly affect him. Because how could it not? Now, again, I'm not a doctor. I don't know. I'm not Tua, but just watching it, it's a scary thing to watch. Now, the Dolphins are going to have to do right by Tua. Tua's going to have to listen to the doctors. Like, in this sense, football feels secondary to his health. I'm not saying he needs to retire, but what I'm saying is whatever decision they do make, you can't be like, well, I got to play week 4. Like, you got to base this off your health, number one. And that's where you start and end. And if you happen to go down a path where the doctors and the team and your family all view and are all on the same page that playing football will be okay, and you get to that point, then you play. But like, you got to get there first. You can't just all of a sudden right now be like, dude, you got to retire, bro. You got to retire. Like, no, you got to go through the steps and make sure that you're healthy first and foremost before you even consider and talk about that.
The biggest thing that baffles me is, everyone knows his history of concussions and everything else. And you would just think that you would alter the way you play to a certain degree to just, go, hey, look, my head is, pretty much made of glass now. I have to treat it like it's made of glass. I can't be taking unnecessary hits. And then last night, I was talking to my friend about this, and they're like, it's like he was starring in a, don't do this NFL video on,
lower my head and
don't,
ram it in the defender.
Yes, he does all the things that they tell you not to do. It's like, don't just, blankly lower your head and expose your neck, and then don't lead in with it and like a batter, which is exactly what he did. When he went down, I didn't think concussion right away. I thought he like injured his, like it was going to be a neck injury.
Yeah. Well,
just the way he just, pretty much just leaned in with his neck is just, you would think that they would be more, look, we need you to be healthy, and just, you have to slide. You have to slide. You have to go out of bounds. Otherwise, you can't run because your health is too important to us. We just gave you that big contract. You are the future of our franchise. We need you to just play smarter. And then he just goes out there and does that. And now, with his concussion history, he might be done. But if I'm him, don't retire unless a doctor says, look, you can't play anymore.
I think
don't do it just because people tell you to.
Yeah, I don't think he would. And it really shouldn't be a controversy. Like, and by the way, honestly, if someone says that, like, I know Antonio Pierce is catching flack, like, give me a break. It doesn't. Who cares? He at his core, Antonio Pierce and everybody in the NFL wants what's best for Tua, and they want him to be safe. I don't think that the armchair, like, I'm so mad at Antonio Pierce for saying that. Like, give me a break. It's not that big of a deal. Okay. It's really not. And Antonio Pierce, there's no ill will behind him saying that. Like, there's not. So if
just retire before week 7 when we play you.
Exactly. Yeah. And when you're out there playing, I mean, truthfully, it's really hard, I feel like, in the moment when Tua's running, to have that in his mind, be like, I've had a history of concussions. I'm not going to do this. He's thinking, got to get a first down. Here's the defender. I'm going through him. Like, I understand you got to change the way you play, but like, it's also easier said than done to do that. Because in the moment, you're thinking about one thing and one thing only: first down, protect the football, defender there, lower my head, this and that.
He had the first down already, though, so he could have just slid.
I know. I understand. I understand. So we'll see. But anyway, Dolphins are banged up. Bills looked good, and that was my extent of Thursday Night Football. All right, coming up next, Michael Wilbon had a really, really good rant yesterday on PTI about the new Pac-12. You're going to want to hear that. Also, Kevin Acee joining us at 5 p.m. And real quick, I got this text here just to go back to like why 9 teams, because it's it would turn out to be an even number of games. So there's that. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. Kevin AC at 5. John's going to join us from Cal at 5:30. More Jon and Jim coming up next. So AJ Cassavell has a really good tweet. I'll pull this up here. And with Giants and Padres starting a 3-game series tonight, he tweeted out about 30 minutes ago, an opportunity for the Padres in San Francisco this weekend. The 6 other teams in the NL playoff picture are all playing each other. If the Padres win, they'll gain ground on someone. If they lose, they'll lose ground. So that's a good point that I didn't even think about. Like the Braves and the Dodgers, the Phillies and the Mets, the Diamondbacks and the Brewers. Like they're all in the playoff picture there. All potentially could be playoff matchups, I think. It would be kind of hard for that to happen. But still, all of these teams, like AJ said, are in the National League playoff picture. So, yeah, if the Padres happen to lose this series, they'll lose ground to somebody or wherever. They're going to lose ground. That's another reason why this series is so big this weekend, because of what I just said with all of the teams in the National League playoff picture essentially playing each other, except for the Padres, who play the Giants this weekend.
Does it make you more nervous now that they don't have game 163 anymore? To where
Why?
Well,
163?
Because remember, they used to have, before they just went to tiebreakers, if like the Brewers and the Cubs are tied after the end of the regular season,
I hated the 163.
They would play game 163 to determine everything.
Oh, I hated it. I didn't like it because
so you'd rather just do the tiebreakers?
Yeah, because here's the the game 163, it's a game that is just, it's like the playing games in the NBA. They're just there. They don't count towards anything. They're just there, and they determine where your seating is. For me, I am totally fine with tiebreakers. I'm okay with that. And it puts more emphasis on you have to play good against playoff teams and earn those tiebreakers. So they earned the tiebreaker against Atlanta. They did not earn the tiebreaker against the Mets. They have an opportunity at the end of the year to earn that tiebreaker against Arizona, wherever that is. And truthfully, it won't even matter, because if they quote unquote earn the tiebreaker, that means they'll be ahead of them in the standings, I would think, depending on how they are at the end of the season there. Like if they go into the last, series of the year tied, then the quote, win the season series means you will be ahead of Arizona in the playoff standings.
I can't wait until the numbers nerds crunch all the tiebreakers, just because normally there's a handful of teams that are kind of in it, but this year the grouping is just so big that it's going to be 8 paragraphs worth of tiebreakers.
Well, there's only I think the tiebreakers are all pretty much set. I don't know what the Dodgers are with the Phillies. I don't know that whole thing because they're fighting for the number 1 seed right now. And I don't know the Mets and how the Mets are with the Braves and the Diamondbacks with the Mets and the Braves and all that stuff. So
that's what I said. That's why I'm waiting for somebody else that's smarter than us to do all that math.
Yeah, not me. I'm definitely not that smart to do math. And when John's not here, it's pretty much near impossible to mention.
Yeah, there'll be no math when John isn't here.
No math. So yesterday,
2 + 2's 5.
Exactly. Yesterday, PTI, which is still a really, really good show.
It's the only afternoon ESPN show that I think is still worth watching.
It's the only show that actually has conversations that aren't rooted in hot takes
and the original cast members, so to speak.
Exactly. Wilbon and Kornheiser. Every show now is just, I have to have the biggest hot take possible to be noticed, because when this goes on social media, we want to have the most social media interaction. It's not about coming up with something smart. It's about getting the most social media interaction possible. And Mike Wilbon had a nice rant yesterday about the newly formed Pac-12 and the direction that this new Pac-12 should go.
I love it. I told you on camera last spring that this was going to happen. I'm thrilled to see it happen. Look, here's what all the people who slurp college football and who are invested in hyping college football, including at this network, here's what they all either miss or ignore or don't get. College football is tribal. It's as tribal as anything, any sport on earth. And people want to see their rivalries and their teams play teams they are familiar with. They don't want to see Stanford play at Iowa and at Minnesota and at Purdue and Indiana and Northwestern. They don't. That's garbage. So no, I keep hearing about it's the greatest college football. No, it isn't. Because you got an entire region of the country and it is growing fast. You got them saying, I don't want to see this junk. So Stanford and Cal ought to be on the phone today, getting the hell out of the ACC and going back west where they belong, because the $20 million they're going to get particularly for Stanford is nothing for Stanford, a school that rich. Start this right now. It can't happen soon enough.
Preach.
Should we start a slow clap? Like, seriously.
Yeah,
like,
that's a golf clap.
Slow
there.
clap for Mike Wilbon right there. I feel like, you know, the meme of like the little girl in the church and she's like, oh, like preach. Like literally that is how I feel listening to that.
Or even now that little baby eating the churro with the ice cream on it. Have you seen that commercial yet?
I have not.
There's like this little,
Love
like
some churros.
There's like a toddler and the mom gives him like a little mini churro. She dips it in like whipped cream or like ice cream. I can't tell which is it.
More.
And he eats it and then like he just goes through like this euphoria and starts to like wobble and wave.
Seriously, what he said there is all true. The tribalism in college football is ridiculous, or not ridiculous. It's you don't want to see what's happening in college football happen. And unfortunately it's happening because, like he said, the ESPN execs are slurping the money. They only care about the money. No one wants to see Stanford take on Clemson or Florida State. Like it means nothing. It literally means nothing.
Well, it's one of those things where, you know, if Stanford and Clemson were going to play in a non-conference game, I'd be like,
then yeah.
Okay, but
their conference rivals.
Just like as a conference game, it just doesn't be like, oh yeah, you know, I'd rather watch Clemson play North Carolina or Florida, somebody that they have like a established history with.
Like, oh man, that UCLA Rutgers game, like, oh, can't wait for that.
And you know, and granted, just like we've been talking about with the, you know, the new look Pac-12, you know, new rivalries will emerge, you know, through the conferences and everything, but you know, I kind of agree with Will Bond to where it's just like, you know, am I going, oh man, Stanford's playing Iowa this week? It's like, no, it's just like, oh okay.
Like, oh, they're playing Virginia. Like,
yeah,
what?
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. And I don't think that Stanford and Cal will be in this new Pac-12. Like that to me is like the pipe dream. It's not going to happen.
It's too new.
Unfortunately, at this moment in time, not going to happen. But, you know, that is obviously like if you had a conference with, it's not happening, but Cal, Stanford, Oregon State, Washington State, San Diego State, Boise State, Fresno State, Colorado State, and then you add Gonzaga for basketball. I mean,
you're going to break up the theme? You don't want to just go all state schools?
No, Stanford and Cal.
Florida State. I'm trying to get Penn State.
No.
Wichita State.
Yeah, get any state schools
all
out there?
States.
Yeah, all state. And we'll be sponsored by Allstate.
Yeah, they can put it on the side of their helmets.
Perfect.
Just
there
like
you go.
baseball.
You're welcome, Pac-12. I'll take royalties and all of your sponsorship deals because Allstate is now your new sponsor for all your state schools. So yeah, great rant by Wilbon there. He's absolutely right. But the beginning of that rant was he loves the new Pac-12. And I think it's a fun, exciting new conference that has so much potential. And the ceiling on it is way higher than what was with the Mountain West Conference. That's just a 100% fact. All right, coming up next, more Padres and Giants series preview. Also, we'll get to how much credit AJ Preller really deserves for this season. You'll hear all of that coming up next, along with Kevin Acey, who joins us at 5 p.m., and John joining us from Cal at 5:30. More Jon and Jim coming up next.
I'm Marty Caswell on San Diego Sports 760. The Dennison Report is brought to you by 90 Barrel East Village, the go-to spot for sports fans since 2011. Dennis, Luis Campusano being optioned to El Paso this week was pretty interesting. He did underperform, but how much of this was trying to figure out Elias Diaz's spot on a potential playoff roster?
I would say both equally. Obviously, if you're going to try to find out what you have in Diaz a little more, there's going to be less playing time for Campusano, and just the playing time that Campusano did get this year. Luis, he struggled. There's another way to put it. On offense, that was kind of his strong suit coming into the season, and he's been well below average there. And Diaz isn't a bad offensive catcher himself, but just on defense, he's probably, and it's been proven that he's a superior defensive option to Campusano, who's hasn't had much success this year blocking the ball, throwing out runners, just all the measurable things with catching. And Diaz, again, he should be an upgrade on that side of the ball. He just doesn't have as much time with his pitching staff, so he's going to need that time, especially in game, to get acclimated with his pitching staff. He's going to contribute in October. Yeah, for Campusano, I think that's maybe the more notable part of the story. I mean, he was the primary catcher entering the season, and there's a good chance he won't be on the playoff roster.
We started spring training talking about Xander Bogaerts moving from shortstop to second base, and now he's back at short. Are the Padres expecting Ha-Seong Kim to return in the regular season?
I think they still have quite a bit of hope that does happen. Fortunately, and as I think a lot of people heard, he just wasn't able to take that next step of throwing across the diamond with full intensity. And last I heard, it wasn't quite clear just the timetable for when he would try to attempt that again. So his rehab's definitely been slow. It's been almost a month since he jammed that shoulder sliding into first base, and that's a shoulder that's bothered him in the past before. But yeah, there's a reason why they took the step of asking Xander Bogaerts to start making, basically, in the meantime, every start they're back at shortstop, something they did not want to do, and that indicates that Ha-Seong Kim is not especially close to coming back. There is still time, I think, before the end of the season for him to get there. It's just right now it's kind of unclear how he does.
This update's brought to you by DraftKings. Padres series up in the Bay, 7:15. First pitch, Dylan Cease on the mound for the Padres against Logan Webb for the Giants. Tomorrow, it's the Aztecs' first road game of the year as they'll take on Cal. 7:30 kickoff. Pregame starts at 5:30 right here on San Diego Sports 760. And Christian McCaffrey is out again this week for the Niners with a calf strain and Achilles tendonitis. Kyle Shanahan said there's a possibility that he could go on IR. Check out what DraftKings has to offer this season with code SPORTS because life's more fun when you're in on the action. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Age and eligibility restrictions do apply. Void where prohibited. See DraftKings.com for details today. We have a lineup for the Padres, and I said the other day that the Padres need to have the exact same lineup every single game for the rest of the season. With Donovan Solano in there at DH, and then you can flip around Elias Diaz and Kyle Gashioka, however you want. Well, Donovan Solano's not in the lineup today. But
Okay, now I have Donnie Barrels in there.
But there is a really good reason, Brent, why he is not in the lineup today and why David Peralta is in the lineup today. And it has to do with who's on the mound for the Giants in Logan Webb. In his career, David Peralta is 6 for 18 off of Webb with 4 walks and an 899 OPS. So, like, I get it. I understand it. You put another lefty in that lineup against Logan Webb, who has always pitched well, it seems like, against the Padres. And the lineup reads like this. Luis Ariz is playing first base today, hitting leadoff. Tatis is in right. Profar in left. Manny at third. Crony is hitting fifth at second. Bogey's hitting sixth at short. Merrill's in center. David Peralta is your DH. And Elias Diaz is your catcher. So it's the same lineup. It's just the obviously Diaz is in there instead of Higgy. And then they swapped out Peralta because he has pretty good numbers against Logan Webb for Donovan Solano. And you put Donovan Solano on the bench, and then later in the game, you can just pinch hit him for Peralta if you want. So, yeah, I mean, I'm totally fine with it. I have no problems. Bogey's back at short, and we heard Dennis Lin there with Marty talking about that Kim's not even close to returning. He's not even close. So I would be very surprised if this isn't the lineup for the rest of the year, and we may have seen the last of Ha-Seong Kim. And truthfully, you know, maybe in the past, injury to starting shortstop, you're like, this is a problem. But this year, because of the depth that AJ Preller has created, it doesn't feel like that big of a problem. Defensively, yeah, you might drop a notch or two, but offensively, I think that this team has they've never been better. It feels like offensively, as far as the lineup goes and how balanced it is.
AJ's been playing 4D chess the whole time.
Right.
Is all part of his master plan. I'm going to assemble 12 shortstops on my team and put them in different positions. Exactly. And then at some point in time, they're all going to end up back at shortstop.
And that just goes to how much credit AJ Preller deserves for this year. And it's a lot. He deserves a lot of credit. I've said I think he's the executive of the year. I know I've criticized AJ Preller a lot, but at the same time, when this team does well and he makes smart moves and he makes quality trades that work out, like, of course, I'm going to sit here and praise him. I'm not some AJ Preller hater. I want this team to succeed. I want AJ Preller to succeed because truthfully, it means that the Padres are going to be winning if he makes moves that work. And he's made every move he's made this year has worked. And Ken Rosenthal, he talked today on MLB Network just about how much credit AJ Preller does deserve for this season.
And after missing the postseason last year with a star-studded roster, this new Padre team in 2024, they've already equaled last season's win total. How much of the credit should go to general manager AJ Preller?
An awful lot, Chris. And I wrote about this today in The Athletic. Think about this team last year. They had Juan Soto, Blake Snell, Josh Hader, and Seth Lugo, major stars, and they're all gone this year. But Preller made a big deal for Soto to start with. In that deal, he got Michael King, who's been a terrific starter. Kyle Higashioka, who's been an offensive catcher for them, and Drew Thorpe, who we later turned around for Dylan Cease. Then he acquired Luis Ariz, and then at the deadline, 3 relievers, Jason Adams, Tanner Scott, and Brian Hoeing. On it has gone with the trades, but he's also built around the edges. Guys like Donovan Solano, David Peralta, role players are the kinds of guys the Padres didn't really have before. This is more of a complete roster and a deeper roster.
I 100% agree. It's a deep roster. It's probably the deepest roster in the Preller era. The moves in the bullpen, Brian Hoeing, Scott, and Adam, been fantastic. The small moves that he's made actually turned into big moves with Peralta and Solano. And then the big time trades with Luis Ariz and Dylan Cease have been massive. I mean, Luis Ariz, we know, we've talked about him, how important he is to this team and how much we love him here on Jon and Jim. And then the Juan Soto trade kicked it all off. And it was a risky move for sure. It was a risky move because you're trading away a future Hall of Fame player for, at the time, I think it was 5 guys that, you needed most of them to contribute. And they've all contributed, whether it be in little stints with Randy Vasquez or helping you get Dylan Cease with Drew Thorpe, and then turning into one of their most consistent pitchers in Michael King, and I think one of the breakout players of the year for this Padres team in Kyle Higashioka. So all in all, AJ Preller, A+ on the report card this year. He has been fantastic. He deserves a lot of credit, and he's going to be around for a very long time. All right, Brent, I'm going to give away these tickets right now, okay? All right, caller number 6 right now, 877-767-4760. You win a pair of tickets to see Jon Pardi with Priscilla Block and Larry Fleet Saturday, September 21st at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. Caller 7 right now, 877-767-4760. You're going to see Jon Pardi September 21st at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. Coming up next, we'll get into the playoffs and how dangerous the Padres could be. And we've talked about this. I'm going to expand on that more. Also, you're going to hear from Mark DeRosa on his thoughts on the Padres heading into the postseason. All of that coming next on Jon and Jim. So a couple of weeks ago, Tyler Glasnow went down for the Dodgers. He went on the IL. He was supposed to throw a simulated game today, but that's not happening. Again, I don't root for injuries, but it's a significant injury for the Dodgers with Tyler Glasnow down. The Dodgers are still playing really well, but he did not throw a simulated game today due to elbow discomfort. That would be a huge loss for them. And we'll see how that goes because if you're not throwing now, I don't know what his chances to pitch in the postseason. We talked about most dangerous teams in baseball going into the postseason. If you want to see the Dodgers, go right ahead because of their lineup, but they don't, I feel like, have the pitching that the Phillies do and the Padres do. They're the Dodgers, and then I get it. But Tyler Glasnow, man, that would be a massive, massive loss for them if he did not pitch in the postseason. I know Yamamoto just came back, but they got Tyler Glasnow to be their ace along with Yamamoto, and then have Kershaw back, who's now down, to have Buehler back, but he's washed. Their bullpen is Jack Flaherty there and Michael Kopech's in that bullpen, but Kyle Glazer the other day said that in his opinion, Padres have a better bullpen, they have better starting pitching, and the lineup, as the lineup goes, Padres lineup is deep, it's balanced. Dodgers might have more top end talent. Like, yeah, you're probably taking Ohtani, number one as far as lineup goes, but I mean, Manny's been on fire lately. Jackson Merrill has been amazing this year. Jurickson Profar, hopefully he heats back up. Like Luis Arise, he's been on a tear. So when you're talking about most dangerous teams in the postseason, they had this conversation on MLB Network, and I've claimed I would pick the Padres as my most dangerous team. That's not me trying to be a homer. That's me like watching this team every single night for the last 4 months and seeing what they've done in the second half. Now it's been average the last 25 games, but still the weakness of this team, it's not like this big glaring weakness like, oh my gosh, they're down Dylan Cease and Joe Musgrove, or oh my gosh, they don't have a good back end of the bullpen. Like, they're pretty solid all around, and Major League Baseball Network had this conversation today, and they're backing me up.
I'm going to go San Diego Padres. If the rotation can be,
he's listening. He's learning.
If Musgrove and Darvish can give them quality starts with that bullpen and the offense, that's the team for me.
Why? Because 7, 8, 9. Got him.
I truly believe, and I'm not saying I desire to manage a big league ball club, but man, I think the San Diego Padres can win the whole thing, and I would be telling them it every day. Stay humble, but stay aggressive. I think they have everything that a World Series team, they don't have a weakness in the sprint. They got starting pitching. They got offense that can beat you in a variety of ways. We were talking about Luis Arise before we came out. Guy hasn't punched out since Earth cooled. 120. And then they can go deep. And then they got bullpen for days. Scary team.
Best record in baseball since June 19th.
I'm in with y'all on that too.
I have
numbers because y'all did.
Okay.
Thanks.
So let's put it out there.
Hey, it's good for the segment.
It's letting you know.
Good TV. Yeah.
Thank you, Mark DeRosa. I love me some Mark DeRosa, by the way. Not just because he is saying what I'm saying, but I just love Mark DeRosa in general.
I was saying he's a former Cub.
Like, yeah, they have built, AJ Preller has built a team where every facet of it is postseason ready. Like, if you go into a postseason, you would want the type of bullpen the Padres have. If you go into a postseason, you would want the type of rotation the Padres have. You go into the postseason, you would want the type of lineup the Padres have. The man, like Mike Schilt. I don't know, man. I feel like they are very dangerous. Just don't slip up here, like Mark DeRosa said. Don't have a bad series this weekend to negate all the great things that are being said about you, right? and you get in, especially if you get in with home field. Oh my God, absolutely. They are, to me, the most dangerous team in there because Dodgers wouldn't want to face them. I bet you they wouldn't want to face the Padres. Brewers wouldn't want to face them. They wouldn't have to if they're the 3 seed and the Padres would be the 4 seed. Phillies wouldn't want to face them, especially if the Padres ended up steamrolling their way to another NLCS. And I think they're better equipped this time to take down the Phillies than they were in 2022. They have all the right pieces. It's just, can this be the year where they put it together? They are right at the doorstep of the postseason. You have 15 games remaining. You have to go in these last 15 games like you have started your postseason run. The postseason has started for the Padres. You go 10-5, or you have you get to 93 wins or 92 wins. Probably 93 would lock it in, but even 92, you are most likely the 4. You get the home field, and you feel really good about yourself for the postseason. All right, coming up next, our Padres insider Kevin Acee will join us from San Francisco. John is going to join us from Cal at 5:30. My back page also to come. That's coming up next on Jon and Jim.
Hey guys, it's Schaefer. We do have great news for homeowners. Mortgage rates tanking. My friends at Loan Pronto have rates to start with a 4. Truly the best rate in years. And listen, if your current rate's over 6%, you can dump it and lower your house payment big time. Loan Pronto has locked in folks recently at 4.99% APR. Maybe you got stuck with your loan in the last couple of weeks or couple of months or within the last year. It's time to call Loan Pronto. Even if you're in the process right now with another lender, stop now and call Loan Pronto. You can ask about their zero-cost rate reduction home loan. You can lock in a lower rate with no closing costs in a matter of days with almost no paperwork and usually no appraisal. And if you act now, you can even skip your next not 1 but 2 house payments. Call now. Loan Pronto can give you a rate quote in minutes with no hard credit pull and no upfront fees like those other guys. Here's the number, 619-207-4336 or loanpronto.com, 619-207-4336. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, on approved credit, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
All right, this update is brought to you by DraftKings Fantasy. Padres and Giants start a 3-game series up in San Francisco tonight, 7:15 first pitch. Dylan Cease on the mound for the Padres against Logan Webb for the Giants. Tomorrow, San Diego State takes on Cal. It's their first road game of the year. 7:30 kickoff. Our pregame starts at 5:30 right here on San Diego Sports 760. In the NFL news of the day, Christian McCaffrey is out again this weekend for the Niners against the Vikings. Kyle Shanahan said today that he could be placed on IR. Check out what DraftKings has to offer this season with code SPORTS, because life's more fun when you're in on the action. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Age and eligibility restrictions do apply. Void where prohibited. See DraftKings.com for details today. All right, hour 3 on Jon and Jim. Jon is up in the Bay along with Kevin AC, but they're not together. Jon is at Cal. He's going to be calling the Cal Aztec game tomorrow night. Kevin is in San Francisco as well. He's at the Giants-Padres game, 7:15 first pitch there. Kevin, the importance of this series, is that being felt in that clubhouse right now?
It certainly is. A couple guys said they'd be lying if they said it wasn't, but sure to talk about how that doesn't mean that there's any more pressure or anything like that. But I mean, they're aware of what the other teams are doing this weekend, and as they have been for a few days, but especially more as we go on, and especially since those teams are playing division leaders, and the Padres, have a real chance right here to either get closer to the Dodgers, say, right, like the Braves and Dodgers play for, get closer to the Dodgers, or hey, okay, fine, Dodgers win, and they keep getting closer to winning another division title. Well, that means the Braves lost. So, all right, cool, Padres are safer. But their main thing, and you'd expect them to say this, but I will say they've done a really good job this year doing it, is their main focus is obviously on them and winning, because they do still control their destiny in virtually every way except winning the division.
And just a quick score update. Mets lead the Phillies 6-0. Braves lead the Dodgers 5-0. Bottom of the second there. So just
amazing.
I know. Just it's a situation of take care of your business. You are going to be fine, and you are going to give yourself obviously the best chance to get that 4 seed, which is, I think right now, Kevin, is like everybody's realistic goal. I know the division it's still out there technically, by numbers standpoint, but that 4 seed home field, that's everything, right?
That's really it. I mean, and then as you get closer, it's do you have a realistic shot at it? How are you lining up your pitchers? Is it worth it to go for the 4? Well, right now the indications are they believe it is, because they believe that the home field advantage would be a real thing, that games at Petco in the postseason. I mean, that'd just be huge. So then it comes down to, if that's something that's still in play next week, how are they lining their pitchers up? Because the number one thing is to have your best starters going, if possible, in the wild card round.
And while every series for the rest of the year is so vitally important, I feel like tonight it's like a game within a game. Obviously the most important thing is get the win, but the thing with Dylan Cease is he has not pitched particularly well over the last month plus, especially since his no-hitter. The game within the game tonight is win the game, but also Dylan Cease, how important is it for him to get back on track and start pitching much better for this team?
I think that you're right. Other than the result, I feel like that's the thing going into tonight, because what is it? I think it's a 5.01 ERA over his last 5 starts. There's been 1 quality start in there. So it's been consistently, he's gone 6, and he gave up 4 when he faced these guys on Saturday night. But there've been a 4-inning one in there, a 5-inning. It's not the guy that you're thinking, okay, we put him on the mound in a playoff game and we feel really good about those, first 6 innings or what have you. That's now maybe, but not guaranteed, or how you thought you were going to be feeling about him a month ago.
And right now, Kevin, I know lots can change, but like right this moment, if you were to predict or had to predict, like there are 3 pitchers that would go in the wild card round, and it obviously also depends on like the final series of the year versus Arizona. But who right now would they want pitching in that wild card round?
Man, it's a tough one, right? Because your most consistent pitcher is Michael King. Okay. Your guy who can go out and has done it in the playoffs and save for a span of 9 pitches last game has been phenomenal is Joe Musgrove. You got Dylan Cease for that, right? And then you have Darvish. I got to tell you, I don't know. I mean, I really don't. I think that's to be determined. Let's say for the purpose of your question, it was if they get to determine, and it's everything sets up and they get to go, hey, here's our 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and give you an answer, and I'm going to go Joe, King, Darvish. But that's insane that I would leave Dylan Cease out. But if that's the way that it keeps going, right? I don't know what your take is, but if that's the way it keeps going, do you really feel good about Dylan Cease out there?
Yeah, for me, and me and John have had this conversation a lot. He is adamant that Dylan Cease has to be one of the first 2 games, and I'm like, well, I get it, but if Dylan Cease goes into a postseason, his last 2 months he has a 5 ERA, and Joe's been pitching great, and Darvish he continues to ascend here, and Michael King has been the most consistent pitcher of the season. I don't know if I would do that. I'm with you, Kevin. I would go Michael King has to pitch one of the first 2. I don't know if I want to pitch in the first one. Joe 1, King 2, Darvish 3. If I had to choose right now, I think I'm with you there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But because we both get it with what John's saying there, you got Dylan, you have Michael King who is going to be at whatever more than he's ever thrown between the minors and the majors. Even I think 165 he did 6 years ago in the minors. I think we'd still be talking about. I think we'd still be talking about him maybe going out of the bullpen because he has before.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
And also too, you got to factor in the possibility if you had King slated for a game 2, he potentially could be pitching just for their season live. Like he could be pitching in an elimination game, or if you put him in a situation in game 1 where if they do lose and he doesn't pitch well, you still have the opportunity with Cease or Musgrove or Darvish, or it's just going to be fascinating to see to how they go about it and how it all shapes out, because the last series of the year, Kevin, too, could be determining a lot. Kevin ACR Padres insider joining us on Jon and Jim. Do you have a latest with Ha-Seong Kim? Has he worked out or done anything? Has anything changed since the last time we talked?
Well, last Saturday is when he threw and it didn't go any better. And so that's where they have described as wasn't a setback, but it wasn't a step forward, which in this case is a setback. So the latest that I've got is they still really believe that he could pitch. I'm sorry, a lot of people are talking to me right now. He could play this season, but it's not going to be for another week. And I'll tell you that he's not out there now throwing.
Okay, so if he were to return, is he returning straight back to the starting lineup, or how is that going to go about? Because that to me, the lineup they have now, Kevin, tell me what you think. Do you think this is their best lineup for the rest of the season into the postseason?
I think it can be. You get into where you're in the playoffs and you're even more trying to win on the margin. Does defense come into play? And can Ha-Seong Kim help you there? I would be with you, whatever argument you make, because I know why you're saying what you're saying, and it is the best lineup offensively, potentially, that you have right now. Of course, that means but it is your best potentially. It also allows you to do things like you got Peralta DHing tonight, and you got Solano who gets to play against lefties and gets some righties. So I am 100% with you. I don't see how if Ha-Seong's healthy, they don't make him active and start him. Now that could be something where they then decide, you know what, we just don't need to do it. I don't know that Ha-Seong comes off the bench. I don't know that.
Yeah, because I can't remember a time he came off the bench for this team or became a bench player.
Since he became a starter,
right.
You're correct there.
Exactly.
Kevin, he's also been out a long time now.
He has.
So, I just think with every passing period here, it becomes less likely that we see him.
Exactly. Kevin Acee, our Padres insider, joining us here on Jon and Jim. Robert Suarez, he had a great outing. His last outing, got the save, had 2 strikeouts. But when you look at his last, month or so here, he hasn't pitched like the Robert Suarez that we know. Is there any concern with Robert Suarez for the rest of the year going into the postseason, knowing that he's probably going to have to be pitching maybe even more, depending on where they're at in the standings and they want their best out there?
I think there has to be. I don't necessarily think that it's like overwhelming or anything like that. You bring him in to do those 4 outs save after he'd had some rest. The fact is, they pushed it pretty hard. And I think that's kind of what you're alluding to about not just, I think even his last outing, there wasn't a clean inning. I don't remember the last clean inning he had. He hasn't had more than a handful in the last month or so. Still allowed to hit that inning. And so, yeah, there's concerns, but he's their guy. And the good thing for them is, hey, they also have Tanner Scott and Jason Adams, and things are going really well. I think they still very, very much believe that bullpen gives them an edge, and that Robert Suarez is a huge part of that.
Couple more for Kevin here, joining us on Jon and Jim. Jackson Merrill last weekend, got hit, or he hit himself. I guess the ball went off his ankle there, and he missed the game. He hit the home run on that Sunday, but he's in a little bit of a funk. I mean, he hasn't had many this season, but he's 0 for his last, I think, 7. 0 for in the series versus the Mariners. He's had 1 hit since he returned from his injury. How is he as far as like injury wise goes? And this stretch here, nothing to be concerned about, right?
I would say not, based on history. Based on the fact that, okay, so he went 0 for 7. Believe me, I've got it in my notes. I've noticed it. But, this guy's had 2 slumps of longer than, 3 games this season. But here's what I will say. We're in absolutely unprecedented area for this 21-year-old rookie who's, went from AA, a partial season at AA, to the majors. I mean, and who was in high school 3.5 years ago. So, we're we don't know. So I have no concern based on who Jackson Merrill has shown himself to be. As a matter of fact, who Jackson Merrill has shown himself to be is, at some point here in San Francisco, he's going to hit a couple bombs or, get a big double and score and all that. That's who he has been all year. But I absolutely think your question in terms of, all right, let's keep an eye on Jackson Merrill. I think that's fair and legitimate.
Yeah, it's something that, like you said, uncharted territory, a little bit of a slump here. We haven't seen many of them. And the thing is, he's so important to this team that even when he goes into a mini slump, you get a little is this where you hit the rookie wall potentially? But, hopefully that doesn't happen down the road. A couple more here for you, Kevin. Ever since Manny Machado had that, on a high here, ever since Manny had that rant in Philly with you, I think it was with you. I mean, have you ever seen a player that you've covered, say what Manny said and then go on the field and not only prove it, but go above and beyond for the way he's played since that rant he had in Philly?
Not like that, because that was sort of a uniquely awesome rant. And then obviously the next day you go from June 19th. And he has, I think it's a 934 OPS now.
Yeah.
And has absolutely carried this team. And I would argue, if let's say it mattered who the team MVP was, and I know that everyone's big on Jackson Merrill, and I'm not gonna fight this to the death with anyone, but I would argue that the next 2 weeks would determine whether it's Jackson Merrill or Manny Machado, because he's just been incredible for this team. And it's what superstars do. Manny has gotten himself back on a Hall of Fame track. Let's say he'd fallen off. Let's say, if he had, he's back on it. And he is absolutely, once again, here's a team that is likely headed to the playoffs. And it's an up year for Manny. And that's just, it's way too simple in any sport, probably. Maybe not basketball, but it's definitely a baseball to say, as this player goes, so goes his team. Well, I don't know. I've never seen in baseball that it's as close to that as it is with Manny Machado and the Padres.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's just like you said. It's As Manny goes, the team goes, and it shouldn't be like that in baseball because it's not a one-person sport. But for whatever reason, when Manny plays really good, this team more often than not plays really well as well. Kevin, thanks for joining us. Have a good weekend up in the Bay, and we'll talk to you next week, and things will become much more clearer, I believe, next Friday and as close to the season we get. Thanks, Kevin. Have a good weekend, man.
Right on. Take care.
Yeah, the run that Manny's been on has been incredible. And I think Kevin's right. The next 2 weeks here will probably determine like who's been the most important Padre. But again, that's kind of like semantics. All that matters, getting the 4 seed, and we'll see where that goes. All right, coming up next, John's going to join us from Cal. I guess he's like right down the street from Kevin. So we'll connect with John, and also my back page later in the hour. All that coming up next on Jon and Jim. Hey guys, it's Jim from Jon and Jim, and football season is underway. It is the best time of the year, and right now you need to download Underdog Fantasy on your app, on your phone. It's easy to download. It's easy to play. You're going to love playing along Underdog Fantasy all season. You have up to 325 times to win your money by choosing just higher or lower on your favorite team's stats. Me and John have been playing Underdog Fantasy for years now, and this weekend, like yesterday, they're giving you a special play of higher than a half of yard for CeeDee Lamb. All you got to do is download the Underdog Fantasy app right now. Use promo code Jon and Jim, JONAND, JIM, and Underdog Fantasy is going to give you a highly discounted pick, the CeeDee Lamb pick, to use on your first pick of entry plus a deposit offer. That's Underdog Fantasy promo code Jon and Jim, JONAND, JIM, to claim your new customer offer of a gimme first pick and your deposit offer. You must be 18 years or older and present in the state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms do apply. If you're concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org.
All right, John's going to join us coming up in a bit. Back page, 5:45. So with this weekend series up in the Bay tonight,
it's I can't stress how important, like, the game within the game part of it, the Dylan Cease factor, him pitching well. If he doesn't pitch well and they still win, that's great. But you have the Dylan Cease problem you'll need to address at some point. And the days are, ticking down here to the end of the year. So there's 2 games tonight. It's how well Dylan Cease pitches and obviously picking up the win. Looking around right now at the games that matter, not great. That's not great so far. If you're a Padres fan, Mets lead the Phillies 6-0, top of the 6th. The Braves lead the Dodgers 5-1, top of the 4th. Arizona and Milwaukee, they don't start until 6:40. Padres are the final game, so we'll know all the results before the Padres end. So we'll know what Arizona and the Brewers do, most likely. We'll know what happens with the Braves and the Dodgers here, and we'll know what's going to happen with the Mets and the Phillies. So let's just go down the path, Brent. Mets win tonight, all right? They now, if you lose, gain a game on you, you're only a half game up on the Mets. And by the way, Mets hold the tiebreaker. Not great. So Braves win, then the Braves gain a game on you, and they will be also they'll be a game back. Well, actually, they're 2.5 back, so they'll be 1.5 back. So it just shows how important tonight is. You do not play well tonight, you could really be looking at a situation where you're only a half game up on the Mets and you're a half game up on Atlanta.
Doesn't it
Or
suck
game
how
up on Atlanta? Sorry.
Whenever you actually need something from like one of your hated rivals, like the Dodgers could win 30 out of 32 games, and it's like, oh,
and now they have a chance.
We just need you to beat the White Sox in this 3-game series to help us out, and then they'll go and lose the whole series to the White Sox because the one time we need something from them, now they'll lose.
Yeah, you'll be a game and a half up on a playoff spot if you do not take care of business tonight. Game and a half. That's it. Half game up on the Mets. You could be a game and a half back of the Diamondbacks tonight if you lose. And to your point, Brent, like the one time, and I don't like doing it, I hate rooting for the Dodgers in any capacity, but it's more or less like rooting for Atlanta to lose. And they go out there and lay an egg? Like, what the hell? You have a better opportunity. The chances of you winning the division aren't as good as the chances of you getting the 4 seed. This is simple math. Now, if you look at this 4-game set and say Atlanta does sweep the Dodgers and you sweep the Giants, the percentage of that happening, not very high. But, if that were to happen, Tuesday is a completely different story. Like, then now we're cooking with grease. But at the same time, to want that, or not to want that, but to expect that, that's like unrealistic. Like, oh, the Dodgers, who've been playing great baseball, to lose 4 straight in Atlanta, and then in turn, you sweep the Giants, a team that you have not played well against this year. Those things just...
That's our perfect storm scenario.
That is literally the perfect storm. That is the half-court heave that goes in. It's maybe the full-court heave. Half-court, not that difficult, depending on who you talk to, but yeah, it's like the full-court heave. And you have a soft weekend here with the Giants, just from a standpoint of they're not great. They're not a good team. You are a good team. You take care of business, and you go into the last 2 weeks of the year feeling pretty confident about yourself. You just win series. You're 10-5. You're in 92 wins. How you doing? Probably the 4 seed, and you're good to go. And as Kevin said there, that there's a real chance if that Ha-Seong Kim potentially might not return. Like he thinks he could return, but at the same time, I am sitting here not banking on it. And even if he does return, I'm kind of against Kevin. I don't think he should start. I really don't. I don't think this lineup would be better with Ha-Seong Kim in it and take someone else out. So if he's not even throwing yet, like Kevin said today, he's not throwing at all.
It just doesn't seem like, because every time we get a, we'll get a, quote update, which pretty much is a no update, but it's one of those things where it never sounds very positive. Even like, oh yeah, he's supposed to throw this week. And it's like, yeah, but it doesn't really sound like, it doesn't really, is he gonna throw though? And so I don't know. I made the joke during the commercial break. What happens first? Kim sees the field again, or DirecTV and Disney hug it out and give us ESPN back?
Exactly. All right, coming up next, John's going to join us from Cal. We'll talk about this weekend series, Padres and Giants, massive series, and also preview tomorrow's game against Cal. So John's going to join us coming up next. My back page at 5:45. Stay with us. This is Jon and Jim. This update is brought to you by DraftKings Fantasy. Padres Giants. Massive 3-game series up in the Bay. 7:15 first pitch. Dylan Cease on the mound for the Padres against Logan Webb for the Giants. Tomorrow, San Diego State takes on Cal for their first road game of the year. 7:30 kickoff. Pregame starts at 5:30 right here on San Diego Sports 760. And NFL news of the day. Christian McCaffrey's out again this weekend for the Niners. He could be placed on IR, according to Kyle Shanahan. Check out what DraftKings has to offer this season with code SPORTS, because life's more fun when you're in on the action. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Age and eligibility restrictions do apply. Void where prohibited. See DraftKings.com for details today.
All right, back here on Jon and Jim. Just a programming announcement. Tonight at 6 p.m. is the debut of the Jonathan Ripken High School Football Show. So an hour long of high school football with Jay Rip, starting at 6 p.m. right here on San Diego Sports 760. So make sure to tune in for that. Starting at 6 p.m. Jonathan Ripken. I don't even know if that's the name of the show, but I'm going to call it that.
It's untitled for now.
Jay Rip High School Football Hour, starting at 6 p.m. So make sure to tune in for that, some live and local programming. And right now, Jon joins us from Cal. Brent said that you were trying to find the nearest tofu shop. What are you doing at this moment besides obviously talking?
Well, let's do this. Let's have to listen to power. Okay. Do I take cars and let's say areas? Do I take cars to the guys? That's the question. Once we have an answer to that, do I want to eat or do I just not do that?
So I have an idea for you. Why don't you, on social media right now, on Twitter, put out a very scientific poll? Say, what should I do tonight up in the Bay? Go to the Padres Giants game or eat tofu alone in my hotel room?
Well, I already know the answer. People say
we already know the answer to this. It's like, are you going to go out of your bubble and go to the Padres Giants game for a little while, or are you going to stay back and do nothing? I think
right. That's exactly right. That's what I'm deciding between.
Yeah.
I think I might live a little. I think I might head down to San Francisco. I don't know. I got to figure it out. How do I get? You know me. I don't know how to get to
I know
my house. How am I going to get to San Francisco?
Right. Where are you across the Bay Bridge? Like, tell me your location. Like, where is your proximity to Oracle Park right now?
I'm in California. I'm in California.
You have no idea? You have no clue?
I have no idea.
You haven't even looked at your maps one time?
To where I am. I have no idea where I am in proximity to Berkeley or Oakland or San Francisco. It's beautiful. It's sunny. It's nice.
Okay. Anyway, let's talk some, I guess, Padres right now, Jon, or we can continue to talk about what you're going to do tonight, which I'm sure everyone wants to listen to. But
sure, we can talk Padres.
Right now, Jon, the Mets lead the Phillies 6-0. Braves lead the Dodgers 5-1. The two outcomes that you don't want to see. So it just makes this series so much more important when you see the teams behind you winning like they are right now, right?
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, as we've talked about, you're spot on, and I think it's I just think it's challenging the rest of the way, and I think they need to play well. You can't bank on others to do your work, and you're going to have to do it yourself, and they're capable of doing it because we've watched them play all second half long, and they've been among the better teams. I think this series is really, I think it's a challenging one, and I think this matchup specifically tonight is just an important one. When you look at Webb and C squaring off in San Francisco, the Giants are good, and the Padres are coming off a series loss to San Francisco. So, yeah, I mean, they got to go earn it, which they've done to this point based on their play in the second half. But truthfully, if they don't play well down the stretch, they're asking for trouble. And that starts tonight because, other teams sense it as well. I mean, these other teams realize they have to play well to get into the postseason. I think that qualifies for the Padres as well.
And the game within the game tonight, I talked to Kevin about this earlier in the show. I mean, getting the win, most important thing, obviously. But if they win 9-7, if Dylan Cease goes 4 innings, gives up 5 runs, I mean, the confidence to have Dylan Cease be your main guy, your ace in the postseason, it just continues to go down.
Yes, I mean, that's definitely a factor. Like, that's kind of the game within the game, that it's a point of the year where you're starting to put things together. What's it going to look like in the postseason? What's my rotation going to look like? For whatever reason, it just has not been the same, since that no-hitter. And I think there's a variety of factors that we've talked about, one of which is they kind of got him off his rotation with that start in Pittsburgh, but that's been forever now, and that's no longer an excuse. So I don't know the reason. I think it's the second time this year probably where he's had a month-long stretch where he hasn't looked great, truthfully. But he's capable, I think, of coming out of it, because we've probably seen that happen 2 times this year as well. So, yeah, I agree with that. I mean, the win is first and foremost, but secondarily within the game, you'd love to see Dylan Cease pitch well. But, I mean, to really make a postseason run, Dylan Cease can't be a guy going 4 innings and allowing 4 runs or 5 innings allowing even 3 runs. He's got to be a bit of a horse for you, and hopefully that starts tonight.
And AJ Caswell made the good point on social media, like how this series is so important is that no matter what, you will be either losing or gaining ground on somebody in the postseason position in the National League. Because everybody besides the Padres play somebody that's in the postseason picture in the National League. So like, you lose tonight, you are a half game up on the Mets if they beat the Phillies. And then if the Dodgers lose to the Braves, then you're only a game and a half up on Atlanta. Right. So like, it's one of the most important important series of the year for the Padres. So we'll see what happens there. Tomorrow, San Diego State, Cal's a 18.5 point favorite right now, John. Too high, too low, or you think just about right, knowing the unknown with this team tomorrow about Danny O'Neill and their first road test of the season?
Yeah, I mean, it's a fair question. Obviously, us, being a flagship and me calling the game, I can be like, yeah,
it's stupid. What the hell?
Listen, I think even in the loss last week, San Diego State showed that they could absolutely stay in a game against this type of caliber of an opponent. It didn't go their way and it didn't go well, and they had some of their own mistakes, obviously, within the game. Yet, considering all of that, they truthfully could have very easily been a lot closer in that game. We all watched it, and it was a close game through 3 quarters. It was 7-0 in the 4th quarter, in fact, at Snapdragon Stadium. I like to think that they're going to be very competitive in this game. I mean, we'll see if that plays out or not. What Cal has really benefited from, guys, is they have forced 8 turnovers this season. They're +7. So they're one of the best teams in terms of taking care of the football and forcing turnovers in the nation. When you're +4 on average per game, you're going to win a lot of football games. Does that continue tomorrow night in Berkeley at Memorial Stadium or not? I think if you can be even in turnovers, you're going to give yourself a chance to be in the game. Cal's had a lot of offensive injuries. They've overcome them really well in the first 2 weeks of the season. To your point, San Diego State's obviously dealt with some injuries as well, including their left tackle in the first game of the season. But I like to think of a team coming off a performance like the Aztecs had this past week. I think they're going to play up from how they played against Oregon State. And Cal's coming off an emotional win against Auburn on the road. So they got to get themselves back up as well. So I think it'll be a competitive football game, and that's what we're hoping for tomorrow night.
All right, so John's up in Cal right now. He's joining us. People in our chat are telling you what to do, John. I'll get to that in a moment. Just a heads up, get ready to leave. So we talked about this earlier in the show. Definitive, give me the teams that you want in the new Pac-12. Like, give me the teams.
Oh, man, I love that. Yeah, I'm curious to hear what you would have said. Okay, so tell me the total number of teams. How many teams did you elect going with? It 2, 3, 4?
I elected with 3. I said,
it's a fascinating question. Don't tell me yours. Don't tell me yours until I say mine, and then you tell me yours, because I don't want you to influence me.
Okay.
I would say again, I don't know all the intricacies, but if I'm just snapping my fingers, and travel's a part of it, and I don't know how realistic some of the travel is, but for me, I think Memphis and Tulane makes sense. Now I know you're far east, but they've been kind of the top of the American. And remember, JD told us yesterday, like, we want to be the best of the rest. I think Memphis and Tulane, from a football sense, have kind of been in that best of the rest category for a handful of years. From there, I mean, I'd probably be interested in the school that's in the state of Texas because of its value from just a football perspective and recruiting perspective. But I don't know if I'd reach just to reach necessarily. And there's probably 3 or 4 options in the state of Texas. So I'm actually going to just, I'll say Memphis, Tulane. I don't know where I turn third immediately. I'd have to do a deeper dive on that. And then what I would do, I think I would get to 9 for football, like we talked about yesterday with JD, and he mentioned the number 9. And I would really do everything in my power to get Gonzaga. I mean, you can't go crazy and offer the world and give them more than everyone else, that doesn't make sense. They don't play football. But if you can put together an offer that includes Gonzaga, I think it really adds a lot of credibility to the league nationally as well, like San Diego State basketball. So I'll start with Memphis, Tulane. Do you want me to give you a third? I mean, maybe University of Texas, San Antonio, if I had to go for a third. I don't know a ton about them, but they're well supported, and San Antonio is a massive market.
So I said Memphis, Tulane, but my third wasn't a football school. It was Gonzaga. Okay. So like 8 football schools, and then you get Gonzaga in there. I think you can then add the UTSA or Rice, or I know that the article I was referring to today, you sent it to me. Like, they had South Florida in there. Like
South Florida, yeah.
Kind of feels like a pipe dream, right? Like South. Well,
it's far. I mean, I don't know. They're building a brand new football stadium, like San Diego State just did. Theirs is on campus. They're very well invested in athletics. They're in a huge city like San Diego, being in Tampa. I mean, there's some similarities, I think, between the two actually. But again, they're on opposite coasts. Like, how much of a factor is that?
Yeah. So to me, do everything in your power to get Gonzaga in your league. Like, that has to happen. And if you get Memphis, while they're not like the greatest football school, basketball wise, you have just now added, if that were to happen, 2 really good basketball programs. Gonzaga, I mean, perennial basketball program in college athletics, and Memphis, like, sign me up right now.
Right. With San Diego State, you get home and home. So like, think about your possible matchups. Like, every year you got 2 San Diego State Gonzaga games. Every year you got 2 Memphis Gonzaga games. Plus, again, these other programs have had success. I mean, you start throwing in the regionality of like Washington State playing Gonzaga and Oregon State playing Gonzaga. They're all in the Pacific Northwest. Like, there's just a lot to like there.
Yeah.
I would say Boise State's been really good at basketball. They made the NCAA tournament 3 straight years. Colorado State's been good at basketball. So yeah, I think it would be actually it would go beyond a sneaky good basketball league. I just think it's a really good. You got Gonzaga, San Diego State, Memphis, or whatever order at the top of your league in basketball, and you've put together a pretty good league.
Yeah, and I know the like question was like, what about basketball? What about basketball? Yep. You get those 2 schools along with Tulane for football, and if you want to go 9 for football and have a total of 10 in your conference, like, I mean, you can. There's nothing to complain about.
That's what I think, and that's what honestly, and I'll let you run this anyway. I think 9 for football, 10 for basketball makes the most sense. 9 for football because 8 conference games, and 10 for basketball because 9 opponents times 2 is 18, and that's just a nice number that San Diego State's been talking about for years. Not wanting to play 20, maybe 16 is too light. So to me, 9 for football and 10 for basketball to start just makes a lot of sense.
So Rich on the chat says it's 11 miles from downtown Berkeley to Oracle. Take the BART. Do it. Be a man.
Well, I'm not at Berkeley. I'm in Walnut Creek.
Oh.
I'll send you a picture on a map of where I am.
You're a big boy. You can figure this out.
Can I though?
Yes, you could just search BART on your phone and then search the times. Very simple. And you'll be able to get into Oracle easily because
it's not sold out tonight.
It's not sold out.
Posey's like, I'm thinking about what Buster Posey said. It's like, nobody comes here because, like,
you're right. You'll need to wear a Kevlar vest and strap up to get to downtown San Francisco. Be careful, buddy.
Yeah. Duct tape some phone books to your chest.
Yeah, watch out. It could be very dangerous down there. Very dangerous. All right, man. Have a good night.
All right, guys.
Yeah, see you later, buddy.
I'll let you know.
Okay, I better see a picture of you at Oracle soon.
Yeah, stay tuned.
Yeah, he's not doing it. All right. Yeah, John's not going. That's signal for John's not going. All right, coming up next, my back page. Stay with us. What's up, guys? It's Jim from Jon Jim, and it is great to have Humboldt Casino on board for the football season. Me and John were there the other day. We had lunch at Tony Gwynn's Sports Pub. It was fantastic. And for this football season, every Monday in September, you have a chance to win big with Monday Night Live $100,000 punch outs every hour, 7 p.m., 8 p.m., and 9 p.m. They're picking 10 winners. Your odds are better than ever. Plus, earn entries all month long by playing and get 2 times entries on Tuesdays with at least $500 in cash for all winners and a chance to win up to $100,000 in cash. You guys are not going to want to miss it. Hamul Casino, like I said, Tony Gwynn Sports Pub. They have fantastic food there. They just opened up a new Chinese restaurant, Emeralds. They have Saturday surf and turf buffets. The food there is delicious. The casino is great. Go to Hamul Casino all football season long and every Monday night for Monday Night Live, $100,000 punch out. Hamul Casino, it's fun above all else.
All right, back for final time on Jon and Jim. Tomorrow, San Diego State takes on Cal. 5:30 is our pregame. 7:30 kickoff right here on San Diego Sports 760. Coming up at the top of the hour,
the debut of Jonathan Rifkin High School Football Hour. I'm dubbing that. That's what it's called. So
title pending,
an hour full of live and local content. Jonathan Rifkin giving you a full hour of high school football talk here in San Diego. So make sure to tune in for that. But right now, Brent, let's get to it. So this completely went over my head. I didn't even realize it was Friday the 13th. Did you know that?
Well, duh.
Well, duh. I didn't know that. Like, I just looked at the calendar. I said, oh, it's the 13th. But I didn't realize it was Friday the 13th.
It's like one of my favorite movie franchises. So I always like Friday.
You know,
I always like Friday the 13th because, lazy networks will just, play Jason movies all day. And I love that.
It's easy. So because it is Friday the 13th, it's also Fry, like French fries. Friday the 13th. Here are some deals at fast food chains for French fries because it's Friday the 13th. You can get a free medium fries with a $1 purchase in the app at McDonald's. You can get a free any size fries with $1 purchase in the app at Burger King. You can get free any size fries with any in-app purchase at Wendy's. And you can get free any size fries with a $1 at purchase at Jack in the Box. Now, here's the cool thing. It's not just today. It's every Friday. Every Friday at McDonald's, every Friday at Wendy's, every Friday at Jack in the Box. Free fries offers are available every Friday at Burger King as well. But you can only do, and they're available every day for one time a week. So there you go. Those are some deals for Friday. Moving over to Chick-fil-A, John. Why did I say John? Brent. I'm so used to John here for the back page and not listening to me. Chick-fil-A has.
Well, you're half right because I'm only half listening. Here.
Half listening. It's okay. It's better than not listening like John. Chick-fil-A has new sauce flavored waffle potato chips. Okay.
They have what?
They have new sauce flavored waffle potato chips. You can get regular waffle potato chips at any California Chick-fil-A. These are also going to go nationwide. Waffle potato chips. I'm cool with that. I love the waffle fries, but waffle potato chips, sign me up.
All right.
Sauce flavored. It doesn't say what sauce flavor it is, but
I assume they mean Chick-fil-A sauce.
Yeah, the Chick-fil-A sauce flavored. So
because it wouldn't be very, if it's barbecue, it'd be like, who cares? There's 8,000
a
different
million
barbecue chips, but
million barbecue. Dairy Queen. You live close to a Dairy Queen, right?
the one in the mall.
Okay,
if you
so
count that.
kind of close. Dairy Queen is testing out a new dipped cone flavor. This was actually originally released in 2020 in blue flavor, whatever that flavor is. It says
raspberry,
blue.
I would imagine.
Yeah, whatever blue flavor is. But they're testing this out to be released nationwide. Cotton candy dipped cones with a pink dip.
I'll pass.
Yeah, see, the thing with cotton candy flavor, if you don't actually get cotton candy, you know what it tastes like? It tastes like medicine.
I just think it's gonna be too sweet.
That too, but I eating a cotton candy flavored anything, unless it's actually like real cotton candy, to me at least, it just tastes like medicine. Like it tastes like what's that pink medicine?
Oh, Pepto-Bismol.
It's like Pepto-Bismol almost. Like
I used to love the taste of that when I was a kid.
Well, yeah, I mean they did a good job making sure that the Pepto-Bismol tasted really good for kids. But that's what it always tastes like to me, like cotton flavor. Like I don't know about that. So be on the lookout for that at Dairy Queen. Some cotton candy dipped cones potentially coming in the near future. And like I said, with it being Friday the 13th, Krispy Kreme is offering 13-cent donuts for today. Krispy Kreme is substituting Superstition for a super deal on Friday. Customers can get a dozen original glazed donuts for just 13 cents. Catch? With the purchase of any dozen or 16-count minis at regular price. Yeah, they always do that to you. They always do that to you. Why can't it just be, well, I know why it would, because then everyone would go to Krispy Kreme and get 13-cent dozen donuts because Krispy Kreme original donuts are delicious. So I understand that. But if you want to go to Krispy Kreme and get a deal and you want like a million donuts for the rest of the night and tomorrow and the weekend, it's the Lucky Friday 13 cents original glazed donuts available today. So there you go. So be on the lookout for that. Yeah, I didn't even realize, Friday the 13th.
Oh, I did, because all my friends are all posting Jason memes and stuff like that too. And,
got it.
I gotta figure out which movie I'll watch when I get home.
Which one is your favorite movie? Like, what? Give me your favorite.
If I was gonna order them, it would be 4 is the best. Then 6, then 3, then probably 1, then 2, and then probably 5, and then Jason X and Takes Manhattan can duke it out for the last one. 7's cool too. I like 7. 7's with the psychic chick.
So you know all the movies.
Dude, I have seen them so much that I could probably literally like chronologically tell you every death in the movies.
Wow.
And
you are a movie aficionado.
And when they get going, like part 5, I hate it, but like the body counts in like the 23 to 25 range, and I can pretty much tell you like, oh yeah, first those greaser guys fixing their car. It's like I can go all the way through.
You're like Stump Stump the Schwab, but
Only
instead
with
like
more useless information.
with movie information. And finally, the original mobile game Flappy Bird. Remember that game?
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Flappy Bird making a comeback after 10 years after original creators have offline. A newer version is in the works. It could make a comeback in 2025. If you like Flappy Bird, guess what? It might be coming back. Yeah. All right, that's going to do it. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thanks to Kevin for joining us. Thanks to John for joining us. Cal, there you go. Tomorrow, San Diego State takes on Calvin coming up next. The Jonathan Rifkin High School Football Hour. Stay tuned right here.